America. All right, 1 and 2 are a linear pair. They're right next to each other, and they make a straight line. Okay, angles 1 and angle 8. So I like to think of first of the parallels. So are 1 and 8 inside or outside, or 1 in, 1 out? So what do y'all think? They're both outside, so we call those exterior angles. And are they on the same side of the transversal? By the way, transversal, did you label that? Right, with a T. So are they on the same side of the transversal or on alternate sides of the transversal? Alternate. So those are alternate exterior angles. I abbreviated because I was running out of room. 4 and 6, what do y'all think? Same side interior because they are on the same side of the transversal and they're in between the parallels, which makes them interior. Okay? Now this next one, most people, whoops. Let's move that away forever. Or not. These things bounce too. Alright, well, I'm just going to leave you right there. Straight little mark. Alright, so number 4, 3, and 7, this is the one most people miss. So is 3 inside or outside? Inside. 7 inside or outside? Outside. So since 3 and 7, 1 is in, 1 is out. So you can't call them interior. You can't call them exterior. So that eliminates these 4 on the top of our answer bank. So it's one of these 3. Okay. Now, we know it's corresponding because it's in the same position, shifted down the transversal. So like 3 is the bottom left of this intersection. 7 is at the bottom left of this intersection. Okay. So again, if you find yourself with 1 in, 1 out, consider that it might be corresponding. Okay. 1 and 7, what do y'all think? Okay. Same side, exterior. They're both on the left of the transversal. They're outside the parallels. Same side exterior. Okay. All right. Number 6 and 7. So 6 and 7, 1's in, 1's out, but it's not corresponding because it's at one intersection. So if you're at one intersection and you're across from each other, that's from Unit 1. That's a vertical angles. Okay. So again, 6 and 7. Across are vertical angles, right? And then 4 and 5, what do you think those are? Alternate interior. Alternate sides of the transversal, in between the parallels is alternate interior. Okay? So that is our warm-up for today, and we're going to continue doing what we did yesterday. So by the way, after we go over what we're doing today, you'll work on the back of this worksheet and then make sure you finish yesterday's assignment. But I want you to look at this sheet right here. Okay. Now, on the board, I have an answer bank, but you won't necessarily have the answer bank. You might, but they're there so we can see these things. All right, let's talk about this figure, okay? We got 2 parallel lines, and what do we call this line that cuts through them? Transversal. Very important vocab word that we know, right? Mati. First thing that we want to do on this worksheet is to label all of our angles. Now, do you see how they gave us one angle, right? Angle 2, we know it. All right, so why not? We'll just put that one down, 125, because there it is. Okay. Now I'm going to give you all the trick, okay, the easy way to like figure out some of these missing angles, okay. What do you think it is?
Well, 3 would be the same as 2, right?
Okay.
And then you would subtract 180 from 125 to get 1 and 4.
Okay, and you could definitely do it that way. Let's start with which ones are all going to be the same. So you started off correctly. 2 and 3 are the same because they're vertical angles. And you'll notice they're kind of alternating as we go downward. So 2, and I call this the zigzag rule. It's not really a rule. It's just kind of a trick, if you want to call it that. But 2 and 3 are the same, and they're both obtuse. So zigzag again down here to what? Angle 6, and then zigzag again to angle 7. Do you see that they alternate? The obtuse angles are alternating, and they're all going to be congruent. Okay? So you can either label it on the picture, but you definitely need to do it up here on the top. Angle 2, angle 3, angle 6 and 7 are all the same because, well, if they're parallel lines, cut by a transversal, the zigzag rule is in effect. It works. Now that means we have 4 missing angles that are also in a zigzag, and they're all acute. I'm going to label them with 2 arcs in blue. So those blue ones that I just labeled are alternating or zigzagging as well. They're also all the same. And how do I figure out what those are? What do you think? Okay, so we subtract it from 180 because angle 1 and 2 are a linear pair, which means they are supplementary. They add up to 180. So we subtract it from 180. 180 minus 125 is 55. So every one of those blue angles is going to be 55. Okay? So those are all the missing angles. So if you know one angle with 2 parallel lines and a transversal, then you know how to get all the other angles. Okay? So theoretically, if and when you get to the back of this page, you'll be able to do that with those. But we're not there yet. This means parallel. Okay? So stay with me here. Let's look at number 3. Now we're going to actually talk about some angle relationships. So we're still on the front side where it says notes. Number 3 says, what angle pair do 1 and 5 make? So is 1 inside or outside? Outside the parallels, right? I'm going to refer to these parallel lines as the green lines because I'm making green. Okay? But hopefully you see 1 is outside of the green lines. 5 is what? Inside. 1's in, 1's out. So I can't use any of these interior or exterior pairs. Is it in the same location shifted down the transversal? Yes. Okay. 1's in the top left, 5's in the top left, so that's called what? Corresponding angles. So let's write that down. Corresponding. Now, do y'all remember what we know about corresponding? Okay, good. Alliteration. Corresponding, let's circle it, are congruent. So if you have the same angle shifted down, you know they're going to be the same measurement. Okay. Number 4, what angle pair do 6 and 4 make? Is 6 in or out? In. Is 4 in or out? In. Are they on the same side or alternate sides of the transversal? Same side. So we'll call those same side interior angles. You can abbreviate. Now, what do we remember about SS? Same side. Okay, this is another alliteration rule. Same side is supplementary. And you can see it in the picture, 6 and 4. One's acute, one's obtuse. They're not congruent. They do add up to 180. Okay? Okay, number 5. What angle pair do 7 and 2 make? So they're both outside of the green parallel line, so they're exterior. And are they on the same side of the transversal? No. So they are alternate exterior angles. You can abbreviate alternate exterior angles. Now, alternate does not have a alliteration. Do y'all remember what alternate pairs are, though? They are congruent. Okay, so maybe you can remember that alternates are A-OK, and they're congruent. Or you could think math is cool, and alternate and congruent is AC, and an AC is also cool. Or the same sides are the only ones that are supplementary. All right. Either way, you could just try to memorize it. But alternate exteriors are congruent. What about 7 and 6? Now, we did this on the warm-up again, but 7 and 6, 7 is out, 6 is in. That doesn't always mean it's corresponding. You want to think about it. And in this case, 7 and 6 are across from each other at an intersection, which we call vertical angles. Okay? So remember, vertical are at one intersection, across. Vertical angles. What do we know about vertical angles? They are congruent as well. Okay. Now we want to also be able to take a term and list the pairs. So on these next two, we're going to list pairs. On number 7, we're going to list all the pairs of vertical angles. So tell me some vertical angle pairs you see here. 2 and 3, 1 and 4, 5 and 8, and 6 and 7. Great. Those are the 4 pairs of vertical angles, so we can write that down here on 7. So I'm going to use my and sign, 1 and 4, 2 and 3, 5 and 8, 6 and 7. Four pairs of vertical angles. Last but not least, on this side, it says list all of the angles that form a linear pair. What is a linear pair? Okay, so a pair that make a straight line. Yeah. So, what are some pairs of linear pairs here? 1 and 2, 2 and 4, 4 and 3, 3 and 1. Okay, so at any intersection, you're going to have 4 pairs of linear pairs. Okay, and then 5, 6, 6, 8, 8, 7, and 7, 5. Those are all pairs that make a straight line, so they're linear pairs. So I know it's a lot, but let's write them all down. So 1 and 2, 2 and 4. 4 and 3, 3 and 1, 5 and 6, 6 and 8, 8 and 7, 7 and 5. So those are our 5 pairs that we just said out loud, but you can write them down real quick if you didn't already. Okay. So this is a rare occasion where we have notes on one side and the assignment on the other. So in this case, you will be turning in the assignment, and I know it says notes on the other side, but the assignment's on the back. It says transversal practice. So let's talk about that now. I'm going to give you all a second to make sure you wrote this down before we get there so no one's playing catch up. But if you're there, you can always flip it over to the back, and I want to make sure I explain what's different about it. On the back, there is one thing that did not print out, and that should say angle 6 right there, not blank. You kind of could have figured that out, but just in case. Also down here, angle 7 and 4 are kind of cut off, so again, that's an angle sign, that's an angle sign. But either way, what you're trying to do is, now you can use the zigzag rule, be my guest, to figure out the missing angles. However, in real math, we got to justify our answers using these pairs, what we know about these pairs. So I did 2 for you so you can see how I want it to be done. But for example, how did I know the measure of angle 1 is 75? We're not going to ever put zigzag rule because it doesn't really exist. That's just a trick. Okay? But what do we know? We do know something about these 2 angles that make a straight line. They're called a linear pair. So that's why over here I put 105 and angle 1 are a linear pair. That's a justification. That's how I know it. Okay? What about angle 2? Well, I know angle 2 is 75 because I just figured out angle 1. Angle 1 and angle 2 are vertical angles. Okay? A lot of people ask me, do I have to use every one of these? And you don't have to. You can. That would be, I mean, that you could challenge yourself to do that. But all you need to do is give me a relationship that is true that would prove your angle is what it is. Okay? So you could be like, these two same-sided interiors are supplementary. That's fine. Because then I'm assuming you know how to subtract from 180, right? So anyways, so you can figure out those angles, give me some justification. If you finish this side, you're good to go. You can turn it in. And then you can make sure you turn in this one from yesterday. If I gave you this other one from the other day to fix, you can fix that too. And if some of you stragglers still are working on the magazine thing, you should do that. Okay? So let's get that done. The quizzes from the other day, we're going to go over tomorrow because tomorrow. That's because I said so. All right?